So when the virus arrived and the COVID was there, it was really a question of what do we do? Do we continue or do we stop? And we discussed it with the board, not only for Antarctique, but also for the next caliber that we're preparing for next year. And the answer of one of that board member, and I will remember it all my life, was fortune favors the brave. Go for it. If you have a doubt, if you have anything, we'll find the money. That's not the problem. What is important is that when the crisis is over, you're in a good position because then the acceleration will be very strong. And he was totally right, because as of today, we sold 86 Antarctic Terra Daily watches in 3 weeks. We were planning a month and a half, more than that, to actually sell the 99 pieces. So it's a huge success. So we are today inside the AB product with Yannick, with Virgile, with Aurélien, with Max, and we are working with them on two aspects for the new Antarctic collection. One is the case, the other one is the bridges of the movement. So that was the first step, working on the inside of the movement, and they worked on the platine, on what we call the main plate, and on the bridges. And we are going to see now how they realize these bridges. So there is one tool that comes and machine everything, so it's milling phase. Then there is the angle that is made by the machine, and then that will be hand polished. And then the final step is very important, is the one that creates this beautiful diamond polishing on the external side of the gouge. So it's like a bell made of diamond that comes and polish everything like this. And when you look at the result, it's really shining, it's really beautiful. And at the same time, it's extremely modern. No one was doing this kind of finish before on a gouge. So we use the best of today to create something that is new, keeping the spirit of yesterday, of having a beautiful, polished bridge. So welcome to the Val de Travers. We are going to live live the birth of the fifth prototype of the new Antarctic caliber, the ch.5, recently born. So the main plate has been prepared with a few wheels, and here Manuel is putting the barrel spring, which has a beautiful colimaçonnage. Prototyping has different objectives. One of them is to check that all the components fit well together. Another one is that the watch does make tic-tac. But also, and especially here in this case, we're also testing the way we are finishing different components. So some components are finished, like the plate, which is fully black in nickel noir. So we are testing the way we have actually prepared each of the components, because the way you finish has an impact on the final chronometry of the watch. And the traditional way is to work only on the technical part and then on the aesthetics. But in our way, we decided to work directly on both aspects, because we think that one and the other can nurture and can improve the other. So we are working on a different way to produce bridges that you have seen today in AB product. So you see this wheel is the crown wheel connected to the barrel and is winding slowly the barrel. What you hear, the little click click, is a little spring that blocks the barrel behind. So right now you see the pinion is touching the next wheel. This is called the mobile intermédiaire de moyenne. Don't ask me to translate that in English, I have no idea. It's the mobile of an intermediary wheel. This wheel is especially important because in our movement we have two exits for the seconds. One is the central second, and this wheel is giving this information, and the other one is a small second at 7:30. So you see 4 different types of containers for oil. Each wheel has its own specific oil. And to maintain the level of lubrication that is needed to have a well-performing watches for decades, you need to service your watch every 5 years and actually clean the movement and oil it again. You see this little bridge that's called the anchor bridge. So it's a bridge that is below the escapement. It's a very important bridge because it's submitted to a lot of tension, a lot of work, because you have the heart beating over it. And we decided to have our own, and it will be made, that's also another thing that we found out in the prototyping, it will be made in a very special metal to be much more resistant than natural German silver or Mysore type of metal. In a micro-rotor automatic caliber, you would find 4 different groups of components. The barrel, with a spring inside, that's where the energy is kept. The wheel train or the gear train, that is calculating the time and giving the time at the center or at the small second that is here. The escapement, which is the beating heart of the movement. And on the other side, the micro-rotor with the automatic bridge and all the demultiplication of gears to wind the barrel. So, of course, when you know these 4 elements, you imagine that naturally you're going to distribute them in 4 angles. That would mean that all movements are always the same. It's not the case because you can make a few decisions. So these are decisions that we took, and we were led by aesthetics and performance. But aesthetics were really at par with performance. And we found that the natural way to distribute the gear train was starting from the bottom, which was a very classic Czapek position, and going up on the left this way, and then joining the center of the watch with the pont de petite moyenne intermédiaire. So on the other side, you have the automatic that is just below this bridge and the micro-rotor. And this makes that this architecture is unique, is new, and on top of that, the aesthetics created by these 3 little bridges that are chiseled is amazing. So the little tiny piece that comes and changes the date, it's called a neck chain. And because we have a specific calendar ring, we needed to have a specific neck chain. And we actually designed 7 different neck chains until getting the right one, the proper one, which actually was even repolished at end to fine-tune the shape. And then we launched a series of the 8th design, which was the right one. So you see, this prototyping process is not necessarily that you make one sole new series of prototype. On prototype level 1, you're going to maybe rework one component 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 8 times in the case of the neck chain. All this correspond to a very special approach to watchmaking, a sort of a journey to perfection. So it's really critical to do this step properly, because the main plate is the reference for the whole movement.